Hello. Oh, I'm not playing any music. Let's fix that. So, good morning. Thanks for joining. Let me get something started here. There we go. All right. So, couple things. I am your tech doofus. Duh. Another thing is, yeah, look at that. I was going to bring that up. So this is my first stream as a Twitch affiliate. And all that means is I've got a fancy schmancy subscribe button on my Twitch page now, which is very cool. Yeah, so I can start getting Twitch subscribers, all that fancy stuff. And I've already got a few, and I think the first 10 get that founder's badge, which, yeah, Posh Midget, you've got it right there. It's that first founder. I think for affiliates, it's the first 10 people get that forever. You'll have that forever. So pretty cool. Jump on the bandwagon. What else? Yeah, I think that was it. I've got like 5 subscribers already. So it's just very cool. I'll have to figure out how to list them all and read them off sometime, but I think I've got the most recent subscriber should be showing up here, but eventually I'll read them out sometime. But anyway, so thank you so much. Support is awesome. Yeah, it's gonna help with things like I love tinkering, so having some funds will help with I got some projects that I think sound fun, like doing some Raspberry Pi stuff, just stuff like that, or even just getting Streamlabs Prime, which would help like stream to multiple platforms and all kinds of other extra fun fancy stream features. So anyway, thank you so much. Let's hop in. So I was talking to a friend at 1 o'clock in the morning about our blogs, which is when you talk about blogs, right, at 1 in the morning. And he brought up, this is not my idea, but it turned into something bigger than the original idea. So we were talking, and he thought it would be great to have a way to sort of queue up your blog posts and then just have them like automatically post, you know, one every month or something. And this is great for me because I go through, I don't post often on my blog. I think I've got like 10 posts total, and I've had this for like a year and a half. When did I start? I created this blog June of 2020. So it's been a year and a half, and I've got like, I don't know, 10 posts. A big block, two blockers for me is I always think I've got to have a giant blog post, which I don't. They can be small. Here's how you do this quick thing, done. But when I make one, I get really in the zone, and having something that I could, if I'm in the zone, I could create 3-4 posts in a week or something. And then I know for the next 4 months, I'll be posting a blog a week. So that's where the idea started, is, you know, when I go through these seasons of being motivated to make these posts, knowing I have this automation in place would be a motivator to make a bunch when I'm in the mood to make a blog post, right? So one thing led to another. I'm going to create a GitHub action that you could call. If you've got a blog set up like this, my blog is a Jekyll blog. It's just a theme that I'm using from somebody, a free theme, whatever. And basically, all I've got to do is add a file to this posts folder. These are just the markdown files. If we look at the raw stuff, wow, that's small. So it's just markdown. I label it so Jekyll knows what this is and knows how to tag it. Here's the title. But then the actual blog is just markdown. And so this is how I write the blog, is I'm just typing out the markdown. And all I've got to do is, well, if I commit anything to my blog, GitHub's going to test it and rebuild it and just redeploy, whether anything changed or not. So the act of pushing a new blog post in this folder, that would essentially publish a new blog. So the idea is that we have a folder that I can put 4, 5, 6 pending posts in, right? And this action will run, let's say once a month. And it's just going to grab one from that queue folder, move it into here, and poof, a new blog was posted. And I've got 5 more in my queue, and then 4, so that's the idea of this. I know a lot of blogs work this way, static blogs. So this action isn't like a one size fits all. It's got to be a static blog, and ideally GitHub would redeploy your blog whenever you change something. I know a lot of blogs are that way, but they're not all that way. So this isn't just some giant, it's not going to be a crazy complicated action. It's just going to be a script that's going to copy and then git push basically, and poof, you got a new blog. But it would still be nice to have a solution that's within GitHub. It's not like a scheduled task that I have to run on a computer or something. It's just the schedule is going to live in GitHub. The automation is going to live in GitHub. And I'm making an action so that a lot of other people that have blogs in this format, if they want to do it this way, they sure can. So without further ado, we can get started. So I've already made a repo for this. I just called it BlogQueue, I think. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get this cloned up. So this is where I put on my code repos. So git clone. Oh, look at that. All right, let's clone this. Reopen code. All right, cool. So one thing I've made 2 other actions in the past, so I kind of know what to make. But I'm going to try to explain as much of this as I can. This is going to be like as basic of an action that you could ever make with PowerShell. It doesn't have to be PowerShell, but I do PowerShell. So I make PowerShell actions. But essentially, you start with a YAML file. I think this can be structured other ways, but if you're going to make a PowerShell action, you would basically want to just copy what I'm doing. And this action YAML, you could kind of think of this as like a PowerShell function. We have to give it a name. We have to, we can document it. We give it a little description. We tell it what parameters it's going to take. So what inputs and things. And then we tell it what to run once it has those inputs. It's kind of like a function. Function has parameters, do stuff to the parameters, poof. We just sort of define this in YAML as our starting point. GitHub knows how to consume the YAML. And then we're just going to tell it, oh, with these, basically these parameters that we have in the YAML file, call our PowerShell script, and all the magic will live inside of PowerShell. So I've got the structure up here because I'm not going to pretend like I have this memorized. So we define a name like this. So let's just call this BlogQueue workflow. Also, if anyone has any questions, let me know. I'm kind of just jumping into this. Let's get this YAML created, and then we'll start the actual PowerShell function, which this is a very basic one. Like I said, we're doing this at 1 in the morning. I wrote this at 1 in the morning. I wrote a script, and then I was like, I should stream this. So I paused, and that's what this is for. So we're giving this action a name, an author. Let me do lowercase. Description. Oh, I guess first, if you don't know what an action is, let me show that to you. Let me go to, that might be helpful to explain what an action is first. Let's go to my profile because I've got several actions out here. So if I go to actions, these are like automation things that run. And so I've got several that run for my profile. I've got one that when I post a new blog, let me make a new tab. When I post a new blog, I've got an action that runs every hour and checks for new posts, and it will show the most recent 5 posts here. So when I post a new blog, this action in GitHub is going to update the code that makes up this page and add a link to the newest blog right here. So that's some nice automation there. Another one that I've ran myself So this is something I've made. This runs every hour as well. And what it does is it reaches out to the PowerShell gallery, looks at all the modules that I've made that live out there, adds up all their downloads, and then shows that in a badge here. There's no current badge that you can point to the PowerShell gallery to do this, so I've kind of had to piece some stuff together. But so this badge updates every hour. These are the total number of downloads that my modules have. So almost 1,500. That's pretty cool. But this action, if we open this up, well, this is the actual action, but this is defined. Let's go to where it's defined. GitHub workflows, this YAML file. So this tells GitHub what it's doing. Yeah, this is probably big enough. So this is on a schedule. GitHub says, yep, run this every hour. And here's the job. We're going to run this on a Windows image that GitHub has. And here's our steps. So step 1 is check out the repository. And then step 2 is call this PowerShell script. And my PowerShell script does all the magic, figures out the numbers, commits a new number to that badge in my profile. So this is an action. It's way for GitHub to schedule and do things based on an event. This is on a time schedule, but you can also have workflows that, like this one. This workflow will trigger, it updates my sponsors section on my profile. This triggers when I push to this file. If this file ever changes in GitHub, that's going to set off this action. And we're not looking at the sponsors action, but basically I've created an action called sponsors that will creates this section for me. And all I've got to do is I've just got to have a sponsors YAML file. You know what? Let's look at this in the marketplace, because it's got documentation. So here's the official sponsors action in the GitHub marketplace. Sorry, it's white. It's very bright. So yeah, if you just have an action like this, it would create something like this. So you can list your GitHub supporters. If people have subbed to you on Twitch and you want to show them off on GitHub, it creates these little badges, and this will take you to their Twitch profile. Just because you have a sponsors YAML file that looks like this. So nested under platforms, you say, these are my GitHub peeps, these are my Twitch peeps, these are my Twitter peeps, whatever platform that this action supports. And it does the automation of the action is to create a table like this. So it's just, actions are just automation that's kind of built into GitHub. So I want to make an action that does this blog queuing for me. So that's an action. That's what we're making. Let's go. Description, publish a post. Publish blog posts from a queue of posts. Sure. And that's that. Input. So these are our parameters. So I think let's make a parameter called queue path. And so this is going to need two things. What's the path to your queue of posts? And then where do we copy, or where do we move them to? So where's the queue and where's the destination in your blog that a post needs to live in to be published? So we just define it like this, give it a description, path. Something like that. And I'm going to say required true, because every blog is different. You can put this queue wherever you want. I am not going to assume a default folder. If you use this action, you always have to give it these two values. That's all that means. Let's call this Something like that. Oh. Okay, inputs are done. Now we have to tell it what to do. So we're going to say runs. I don't know what this means. I just know you have to have this. I just struggled through this in the past. I don't know. Using composite. Yay. And so here's our steps. So I'm going to say run. This caret lets me create more commands that span multiple lines. I don't want one really long, gross PowerShell command right here. So I figured out if you add this caret, you can sort of continue to make a multi-line command, basically. Yeah, I said that already. All right, so this is a default variable in the action. So I'm telling it inside this action, that's this path. So it's relative to wherever GitHub is running this. Run this action.ps1, which we're about to make. That's the actual automation we're going to do. We're about to make that. But since I have this caret, now I can provide parameters in a nice stacked way like this. Unfortunately, I have to use this gross dollar squiggle squiggle is a GitHub variable. And so we're going to reference our variable up here. So I'm going to say this queue path, which is the YAML parameter that I grabbed from a user. I want to map that to the path parameter of our PowerShell script that we're about to make. We haven't made this yet, but so that's inputs dot queue path. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's it. Destination. Something like that. And then we have to tell this the shell, which is PowerShell. Does this have to be one back? What does this not like? I think this is correct. It's just yelling at me. Well, this syntax is correct. Oh, space right there. Huh. Now it's correct. Yay. And this is the whole YAML file. It's kind of like a PowerShell function. You've got, some documentation. Here's your parameters. And then how we use those parameters. We're going to just throw them at a PowerShell script. The sooner we can get this information into PowerShell, because we know PowerShell, right? The better. And so this is how you do that. I'm just getting this out of the way because I spent like 8 weeks on my first action that I made, and this was one of the most confusing pieces of this. So I'm just going to define this. We'll move on to the PowerShell. So new file. We can call this one whatever we want, but just to help my brain work, we'll call it action.ps1. This is really what's going on. So let's make an action. I've got a new function template. Well, this actually doesn't need a name. Yeah, I'm not actually going to make this a function. All right, so there's a way to write scripts where the script file acts like it's a function. Acts like it's a function. Here's what I mean. We can give this system.string, define a parameter here. Like this. And then if I just reference the file has parameters on it, as if the file was a function. And that's the way we're calling this. We're referencing a PowerShell file, and that file knows how to take parameters. And really the way you do that is just don't wrap your code in a function block. The name of the function is the file name, and then it has the parameters. So anyway, that was clear as mud. This is going to be mandatory. And so is this one. Okay. So this is fairly simple. There's only a couple steps that we need to do. Get one file from the queue. Move that file to the posts directory. And then get cool. So really three things. Get one file from the queue, move it to the right place, and then git commit it back up into the GitHub repository, which will then trigger any, the automated deployments that are built into GitHub, or any deployments that maybe you've built yourself on your blog. Anyway. Yeah, so let's do this. So let's call this queue file equals get child item. The path is the path that they're giving us from the action. So they're going to tell us the queue path. We throw queue path into the PowerShell path parameter, and then we're going to use that right here. Path. So let's make, I think I've actually got, oh, maybe I don't. Okay. Let's make a queue real quick. Yeah, BlogQueue. Does it know, man? That's awesome. So I've got a new folder, BlogQueue, and I'm just gonna say for each one of these numbers, let's make a new file. .md. Item type is file. Poof. We just made 5 test files in this directory. Cool. Let's say that's our queue. 6 different posts that I'm ready to queue up, 1 per month over the next 6 months. We can get child item on this path, and then select object. Select object is usually used to like filter out a specific value, like select just the name property or something like that. But I can also just say, out of however many you find, give me the first one. Like it filters the objects themselves, not just the properties on the objects. Or I could say, give me the first 3. Or skip 3 and give me what's left. So it skipped 1, 2, 3, give me 4, 5, 6. So select object has a lot of these if you didn't know about these parameters, but I want the first one. Like I said, this action is going to be very simple. Maybe in the future I could build in a way for the user using the action to say, here's a template, and I, based on this template and criteria, like post them in a certain order. Right now, the order is whatever order get child item gives you, which is usually like alphabetic. It's just going to grab the alphabetically first file. And that's good enough for me for now. So grab the first file. That's done. Move that file into this directory. So this is easy. Oh, look at that. Move the single queue file. Let's give this queue file dot full name into our destination folder. And then we have to git commit that file, push it back up. So let's move into the context of that repo just to be safe. Git add -A is how you add all changes. So gets, let me come back here. Git status shows me these are all the changes you've made and they're untracked, unstaged, blah, blah, blah. Git add -A will just add everything. So that's what we're doing. Git commit with a message, adding new post from queue. And then we could even just put the file name here. Just the name of the file. I'll put name. That way it includes the extension .json or MD or whatever files you use to post. And then git push. Pop location. And that's really the whole action. That's it. That'll do everything. I mean, we could add more logging in here, more messages and things to say found this file, because in GitHub, when these actions run, I mean, you get the PowerShell output in the action log. So if we look at my PowerShell gallery builds or downloads thing, yeah. So the last time this ran, this is the output from my PowerShell script. This is what I found from the PowerShell gallery. This is the number I found in the README. So it didn't do anything. They're the same. It doesn't have to update the badge. So we can add as much verbosity into this log as we want. Anyway, but for now, this is done. Yeah, let's just get this. There we go. I don't like it committing my VS Code to GitHub, so I ignore it. Okay, that's the action. This is what it's actually doing, which is very simple. This is an easy one. This will. Cool. Blog posts, something like that. There we go. Got some documentation on here. Cool. There's also some other stuff I wanted to add from over here. Let's create a new folder. Workflows, and then I've got because actions are just these YAML files, it's very easy to steal entire scheduled tasks in GitHub from one project to another. This one, whenever I make a release in this repository, it's going to automatically tag that release as latest. So notice this uses actions also. This is using the actions checkout and the endbug latest tag version 1. But I could say I want the, or V1, that's the tag on the release. And I say I want to use that specific release of that action. But I could just say, whatever this guy publishes, if there's a latest, if people maintain a latest tag, that's the one I want to use. So like PowerShell, if you go to the PowerShell, they tag the most recent PowerShell release, 7.2 or whatever, with latest. That's all that is. Or that's all this is, I mean. Funding, this just puts the sponsor badge on this repository in GitHub. So that's all that. Cool. Let's look at this in GitHub real quick. BlogQueue. Yeah, just because there's that funding YAML file here, it puts this GitHub badge up here like this. And just because I've got this file in this workflows folder, GitHub knows how to process that and creates this action out of it. So it's very easy to set this stuff up because it's all just config files. Yeah, we probably should now update the README and then we can publish this. Yeah, let's do that. So like I said, I kind of started this before. I've got a little bit of a head start on a README. This is basically just the docs, pretty much. So let's open up a preview of this. Hang on, one sec. Hang on, guys, one sec. Okay. All right, so this is a preview of the markdown that I've already written. It's not that much, but it's just to show an example of basically if you copied this and made an action out of it, it would just work. Notice BlogQueue, we're just going to grab the latest. This is the wrong schedule. I want to figure out the cron schedule for monthly. This is just hourly because I've got hourly schedules and other things. But what else would I need? This is pretty basic. Yeah, so when we say uses, we just point it at the repository, basically, in the release. And this will be the entry point of that. GitHub just knows, throw stuff at action.yaml, and that's our starting point. So we need to know what to grab, how to hand it off. And once we get it into PowerShell, you know, that's where we can do whatever we want. But there's a few formalities of making an action. We've already done that stuff. Let's save this. Cool. So we've got all this up here. So that doesn't look so boring. There we go. Queue up posts, runs every hour. Let's create a release. Oh, icons. What's a good icon for queued posts? I saw there was the archive icon up above. Maybe I just grabbed that one. Sure. Okay, so where this gets put is in the action. We have something called icon, branding. That's what it's called. And so that value that GitHub gave me, this value, if I tell it to use that icon, GitHub will use it. And then I can also tell it a color. I think if I don't tell it a color, it will just use the default question mark. List of colors. Sure, purple. Why not? Are we having fun yet? Is this educational? Publish. I've got everything. It's a utility, I guess. Publishing. Let's go with that one. Well, I'm sure there's going to be stuff I need to change. So version 001. Give that little description. Cool. Yay, a release. So now I can test this. I can test adding this to my blog. Workflows. Create a file. I can do this right in GitHub. Yeah, okay. Now I need an actual BlogQueue. I'm not exactly sure. How they're structured. Hosts. Okay. Let's see what that does. All right, we've got a blog in the queue. Yeah. BlogQueue. Run workflow. Let's see what it does. We're not going to get any output, but it'll still run. I've got a few things to fix. Hey, I got to cut this short, but I wanted to get this started. I will make no progress on this until the next time I stream, but we're almost done with this action. And now that I'm an affiliate, I feel like I need to be posting more blogs. I thought it was a good idea. So something like this would remove a barrier for me, which is not really making that many blogs. So if I know I can just focus for a week, get 8 blogs written, I've got blogs for the next 8 months, or maybe I post twice a month or something, and this action will just take care of it. So that's the whole idea, is to just be more committed to making content that's hopefully beginner friendly, and some advanced stuff for people that, you know, want to go deeper. But I definitely don't want to give off the impression that you can't ask questions because it seems like it's too beginner or something. Ask anything at any time while I'm streaming. I will stop and answer. But yeah, so, okay, I got to take off, but I'll see you on the next one. Smash that follow button and the subscribe button and all the things. Yeah. Anyway, all right. See you guys. Thank you.